Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jesse and Chris. We're here for Comic Conversation. Justin will be along very shortly, and this is our last episode ever before 2019 San Diego Comic Con. Pre-show, I guess you could say. We got some stuff today, actually, in terms of what's going to be coming. Oh, a couple things today, but there's gonna be a lot more coming up. Like Saturday, that's gonna be the huge day. I was thinking maybe, and I'll run this by you. Maybe some folks that can give us their thoughts when they pop into the chat here. But what about doing a like a San Diego like post show, like a debrief of all the news, all the biggest things, all our fun stuff? I know we would probably do that. If we don't, then we'll do that next Thursday. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. So let's focus on this show for now. Like I said, Justin will be along shortly. And we'll just jump into the things that we normally do. What's been going on with you since last Thursday? Any updates? Any fun pickups?
I would say, yeah, like there was some fun stuff that I was able to pick up. Well, I actually got a mail call from Brian B. I did a video on it, and he helped me out get some books from my Transformers run, which was really, really cool. And then I was also able to. I was looking online, and I had seen that people had mentioned that the Optimus Prime figure at the Walmart, the Generation 1 reissue, was actually going for a price drop. So I was like, yeah, let me go get that. So I picked up Optimus. So I've never owned Optimus Prime before, so this is my my childhood, kind of experiencing a little bit later on. So hey, cool for me. I was able to pick up Optimus, so now he's chilling. And it's funny too because I like one of the comments I got on my video was, "Oh, just don't take it out of the box and this and that." I'm like, yeah, okay, that wasn't happening. Like it was out of the box almost immediately. It's just
I don't blame you for that. You want it for so long, you just want to play with the damn thing, right?
Well, not just to be able to you look at it where it's just like, okay, he's just in his truck form, and it's just like, no, I wanted to actually transform him and actually have him in a robot. So
right,
yeah, so it's just one of those things where and I think everybody has, kind of a past of Christmas or just, toy things you grew up wanting that you never got a chance to get. And then all of a sudden, the good thing about everybody with nostalgia and stuff like that is that they do a lot of reissuing of these things. So if you can't afford, to go back and get the original one, there's either a reissue or an updated version, and hopefully the price isn't too crazy. So sometimes
Star Wars has been doing that too with their like classic and retro re-releases. Yeah,
and it's just like so it's pretty cool with that type of stuff, just because you're able to go ahead and pick up some old things, or just kind of pick up something and say, hey, listen, I have this, like, so it's not luckily enough it's a Generation 1 remake, which is cool because it's like, all right, so it's almost like having the original toy as close as I'm gonna be able to get to it, just because.
Weren't the originals made by Mattel?
Those were, yes,
the original metal ones, like the die-cast ones.
Yeah. Yep, it was Mattel back in the day. I want to say no, not Mattel. Mattel/Hasbro. Just because I think they merged together relatively early on. That they were, they were. I don't know if they merged together, I will say, but they were definitely interconnected. So, the cool part with that is just that you look at it all and it's just like cool to see these things. I've been seeing I guess a Unicron floating around, and people saying like, oh, it's a big Transformer ever and this and that. And then I saw the price of it and I was like, yeah, I'm not getting Unicron. I can't. I mean, as much as I would love to be like, yeah, let me just drop, it would take a whole bunch of saving, and I'm not going to do all that. So, but
it's pretty sweet though.
Oh yeah, well, I think about it, like, as soon as I see it, I'm like, yes, absolutely, I'm getting that. Then you see the price, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I can afford that. Well, let's put it this way: I could save up and get it, but you have to explain where it came from, why it's here, what's going on with it, and then have to find a place to store it. It's just like it's a lot of headache. So I figure, they're cool to see from afar, and then if somebody else that I know ends up picking one up, which they probably won't, but if they do, hey man, I can enjoy that one from a distance. But just in general. So that was what I did, and then I was able to grab some books from my shop, and then I still have some back issues too that I picked up that I need to make a video for. So I just kind of been just getting a little bit organized, and then trying to figure out what is going to happen for the Comic Cons that I'm going to be going to. Recently got a little bit of news, and I'm not sure if it's I don't know full out details exactly why, but I know that Judge Perez isn't going to be heading to Terrificon,
Yeah, that's right.
which you know, I mean, he made an announcement, and it was one of those things where when he was talking about it, he seemed kind of sad. That like he seemed like it was like something that like he really
Well,
wanted to
that
do.
was his planned last East Coast. That was supposed to be like a big, kind of farewell thing. That was he had that planned for a while. So,
Yeah,
you know,
and I think I mean, unfortunately, and this is just my thoughts on it, but I think it might be something health related, which is why
yeah, I
he
agree.
was so like kind of like upset about it, because he I mean, it's just one of them things where if it's health related and it's just not safe for him to travel, it is what it is. And I understand, he's a very fan centric type person. Like he
Hmm.
loves the fans and wants to do what he can to help them out, and give them a good experience. So I say, if you're not gonna, if you can't do it, it's fine. Just retire, step away from it. It's
Hmm.
I've been privileged enough to meet him twice, and I'm fine with that. I honestly just wanted to go and see him one last time, just to kind of say thank you, and just to be like,
Yeah,
just to have that, because like he's a very nice guy, so it's kind of cool to just be like, hey, give him a handshake and wish him well, and kind of let him just retire and just thank him for everything he's done. Um, but just trying to figure out just kind of the books I want to take down with me as well, and then also getting ready for Boston, and the really like just like sporadic comic creator news that they'll throw out there. They've been throwing out actors left and right. Like Mr. Feeney's coming now.
oh wow.
Why do we care about Mr. Feeney?
Yeah.
But it's just like can we get like someone else? Like, can we get some names of some people that are gonna be coming that are like comic creators? I mean,
Right.
they have a pretty good list, but it's just like I'd like to know if they have somehow secured out of nowhere, like some random Todd McFarlane appearance or something crazy. I mean, I know it wouldn't be something like that because they want to capitalize, but just kind of a situation where I'm just trying to get my books organized, trying to figure out what I'm taking, when I'm taking it, just because it's just for me, like, Boston is usually the biggest show for me, but I'm going to the Terrificon just for the Friday, to try to get some things signed. So it's just kind of like narrowing some things down, trying to figure out how much everything's gonna cost and all the rest of it. So
Yeah.
should be a good time though. So it's just like just trying to get ready
Yeah.
for that.
Takes preparation though.
Yeah,
Especially for the bigger ones like the Boston show.
yeah. Well,
It'll be-
and that's the crazy is like the part about it that makes it kind of just out of control is that it's less than a month away. Like when I think about it. Oh, actually, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's basically going
Going
to
fast.
be a month as of like yesterday. A month, I think so, right? So it's just like a month out from it, and it's just like, oh wow, it's just right around the corner. So now it's just kind of time to start looking in boxes for what I'm going to bring and all the rest of it, and and then figure out you know what to get signed, what not to get signed, and the
Hmm.
wonderful task of running around with a loaded backpack for 3 days.
Exactly. Exactly.
So,
Yeah. I was talking about there's a couple conventions coming up in northern Florida
mhm.
later in the year.
Yep.
Like Tampa Bay. We already had MegaCon, that was in May. I think the next big one down here would be Tampa Bay Comic Con. That might be I don't know when that is actually. I have to look it up. But that would kind of be like my last shot at a big con this year. So I probably want to check that out. It's a smaller one, but I hear they usually have a really good guest list. So
Yeah.
I got to start, prepping for that if I want to go.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I have to say, like, I was when I was just watching and hearing about different cons. I mean, I always seem to look at different cons and they seem to have other stuff, just tons and tons of guests. And it's like, why can't we get this guy? Why can't we get? Oh my God, look at this! And the one that comically flawed and Justin went to HeroCon. was just crazy. I mean, the amount of guests they had at that thing was incredible. And when I like, it's one of those deals where it's like, oh, like I would have loved to have gone, but then I'm sitting there thinking to myself, how in the hell would I have brought everything? Like, even if I wanted to get one book signed by, like, let's say one book by like 20 different people, it's just like, what do you decide? It's such a hard decision. And then it's like, that would be the, first one that I just have to get on a plane and travel to. So it's just like,
when you're there by yourself and you want to get a lot done, it's really hard because you have to do all the, waiting in line by yourself.
Yeah.
That's why it's good to go with, groups, and you can kind of like, hand off books to each other and pull double duty. And, like if I went with you, for example, you could wait in one line, I would wait in the other line with your books and my books. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that weekend would get maximized a lot more. But if you go by yourself, it's just you waiting in each hour in the line or however long it is, depending on the creator.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot more planning and probably paring down of the list as well,
Exactly. Yeah. Because I think I want to say on that list, I think Scotty Young was there. And I'm just like, I have not a ton, but I have a pretty decent chunk of Scotty Young books just because I love his, I just love his covers and I love his artwork. So it's just like, I mean, I'd have to choose from just, all the random covers that he's done. And then also I Hate Fairyland, and it's just, and that's just one guy. It's just like, man, and there was so many. I was like, wow. So, I mean, for those guys, I do get jealous when it's like, they have those cons that are in the area that like, there's just so many more people that go to it. So, there always seems to be one that's really, really cool. And it's just like, I mean, I've even seen some down in like the Florida area that have just been awesome. And I'm just like, man, I wish I could have gone to that. But it's just, so much more planning and everything, which is, I mean, for everybody that's going to San Diego, more power to you, man, just because that is absolutely just incredible to go out there and see all that and do all that. Same thing with New York too. I mean, New York is a little closer, but for me to go from, East Coast all the way to West Coast and all that, like, that's just a big plan.
Yeah, you would need a good 5,000 to 10,000 for the weekend when you factor in travel, airline, food for the week, everything you want to do at the con.
Yep. And that was my thing about it, like, because I wanted to go a few years ago, but then like I remember I was looking it up because me and my friend of mine from college, like, yeah, we'll go, we'll check it out, like, it'll be pretty cool. And then it was just like, just in talking and everything, I was just like, and my mother actually brought it up. She was like, yeah, it sounds all good, but wait to stay. And I'm like, what do you mean? And it's like, it started looking, I mean, we were looking at this out, like, maybe, back. So it was, I want to say around like October of, I think it was 2012 or 2013. We were looking at it and it was just like, all the hotels are booked already for next year. Wow. And it was just like, we started looking at it. It's like, we have to stay like something like 15 miles away to, from the actual place to go and that's where you would stay at. And then it's just like, now you got to pay transportation and then all the rest. It was just like, I mean, every time you looked at, the more you saw, the more you planned, the more expensive the bill got. I was like, oh my God, I can't afford this.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. And like the longer you wait too, like if you do a last minute trip. I remember one time I went down to from Massachusetts down to New York City. It's like a last minute thing to do New Year's Eve, which was a really bad idea because every hotel within, I think, a 50-mile radius of like Manhattan and Times Square booked full. Couldn't get a thing. Stopped at one place. It was really sketchy. They asked, how many hours would you like this for? So no. Yeah.
Like no hours.
Exactly. And then ended up finding a place right in Times Square, the Millennium Hotel. Have you ever heard of it? It was about just under 800 a night, but it was like right there. You step out and you're like right in Times Square. So
yeah.
But the lack of planning ahead that could have come down a lot. I want to get some shout outs here, and there's a bunch of people in the chat. We did get super chat. So Iconic Point, Jackie O, Mr. Unknown, Stay Puff, Daniel, Whodat, NES, everybody's here. So very cool. And then shout out to CJ Alexander with 2.99 super chat. So $1 for each of us. Appreciate that. So I just want to say I don't have my camera on tonight. I jacked up my knee yesterday, so I'm kind of like a little bit laid up here. It's not feeling too good and it's swollen, so just gonna be in your eardrums tonight. So
oh man.
I do want to get into some of the topics because we got a few to go over. And honestly, I don't want this to go on too long because I do want to, re-ice my knee in a minute. Yeah. So I found out this week that Alan Moore is actually going to be retiring officially from comics. Yes, that Alan Moore, who is famous for a ton of stuff. Most notably, I would say The Watchmen. I could go on. Watchmen, Killing Joke,
Mr.
Miracle Man. Yeah, Mr. Miracle. Yeah, Miracle Man. That was right.
Yep.
He did.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah. Yep. That's right. Yeah.
So many. I mean, so many just from different genres and just all these different types of stories and heroes and everything like that. Like just all over the place.
Supreme. Come on, Supreme. Maximum Press.
Yep.
I think he wrote a couple issues of Spawn too, even.
Yep. He did some Spawns. He did some stuff with Superman. I mean, he's gonna had a well traveled career and just wow, and it's funny just because he seemed at one point to really become bitter about comics and stuff. Just basically, I think like the way like some of his stories are being handled, especially Watchmen, and so I thought he had left comics altogether for a while. But you'd always hear something about he's popping up, he's writing this one, he's doing this thing over there. So for him to actually hang it up and say, you know what, all done, more power to him.
Exactly. What I mean? He's had a long story career, award winning. He's won tons of Eisners. He's been writing the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So he kind of he made an announcement in that book, and he did like a fake letter. It was a funny thing. I think I saw it on Bleeding Cool. He did a letter from some guy whose last name was Comicsgate.
Oh,
and
wow.
Just kind of stirring the pot there as he would, But he basically said, things have gotten different. The prices are too much. He remembers times when kids could buy a comic, and a lot of times for working class children, that's how they learn to read and stuff. And with the price points now and just the environment that it is, it's just it's not the same. So he said, I'm dipping out, guys.
Yeah, and you know what?
Fun, but yeah.
That's a crazy point too that he's saying that, just because it is true. I mean, and it's just one of those things where when you look at comics nowadays, it's just $3.99, $4.99 an issue. I mean, that's not really for a young kid. I mean, that's not going to be something that you can go ahead and, I mean, because it's just I could tell you now, it's just one of those things where as an adult, hi baby. As an adult, we're allowed to kind of go ahead and, you got your own money. All right, go ahead and buy the books you want and everything. But for a young kid, it's just okay, you can get one. It's that's so hard to go up to the shelf and be okay, one book out of all of these. What do you want? It's just so, and that's true. Back in the day, a lot of people did learn to read through comics just because, just staring at a black and white page just wasn't fun. There's just now I get to see all this action and everything else is going on. There's the pitches there and everything else. So
it's cool. It's fun. It's action, and you know what? I bet they were reading it and having fun and not even realizing they were learning at the same time. That's the key to education, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I mean, for him too. I mean, and I'm not sure how old he is, but he's got to be
getting up there.
Up in the 60s or 70s range.
The last picture I saw of him, he looked like Hagrid from Harry Potter.
Yeah, he's always got
everything.
For a long time.
Wild mountain man.
Yeah, he's had that Merlin hairstyle and beard for a long time. He's just what would be hilarious is to see a picture of him just clean cut and just I bet you his picture going into the industry when he first started was suit, tie, clean cut, hi, I'm Alan Moore, you know what I mean? And then it's just as he kind of got more popular, it's just just the more his popularity grew, the longer his hair grew and his beard got more scraggly.
Exactly. Yeah, it's gonna turn into I don't know. So yeah, well, I mean, disappointed. It's kind of bittersweet. Happy for him. He's finished his career and such an amazing one it was. And Jackie mentioned Swamp Thing, so we have to definitely mention that one too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which is cool. It's just interesting because a lot of his stuff, Swamp Thing being one of them, was under Vertigo. We just talked about all the moving stuff with Vertigo. So maybe he's well, maybe that's a sign of the times, and one of those indicators that he should leave. He was part of the what they called the British invasion.
Yep.
Remember that they went over and kind of poached from like Judge Dredd and a lot of those
Brian Boland,
UK, right? Yeah, Alan Moore, Neil Gaiman. I think Morrison came over a little while after them.
Yep.
Bunch of those guys. Who's the other one? Garth Ennis, I think, was part of that.
Yep. Garth Ennis. Yep.
Yeah.
There's so many talented people that came from there, and the thing that you can kind of tell a little bit when you're reading that type of story, just because like their perspective on things is very different. Like Alan Moore, what I can say, and one of the I think best things about the stuff that he used to do is that he would get a hold of a character. It didn't really matter who it was or anything like that, but he kind of took it in his own direction, and he would just kind of make things stand out more than just. He had a way of telling a story that made you care about characters and like, oh my god, who are these people? Like, what's this all about?
Right.
All that stories.
And he would touch on, and this is kind of something that's lost in this day and age. He would touch on socio-political issues, but do it very not so in your face.
Yep.
And it could be a balanced discussion too, where you get to choose which side you want to be on, right?
Yep.
That was something that Chris Claremont was really great at as well with X-Men. So I don't know, I'm speaking for myself here, but I feel like that's kind of lost in this day and age. Is that subtlety, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
Yeah. So all right, cool. So well, maybe he'll have like a comeback tour or something. I don't know.
Maybe. It would be cool to hear him speak. You know what I mean? Just to hear him kind of talk about like, and I know he's not into like doing cons and things like that, but just kind of like it would be great to kind of just hear what his perspective is on certain stuff, or just actually what he could get into, which would be really cool. Would be if he taught writing. That would be number one, an incredible experience, and number two, you get to kind of take note from a master. It's just like, wow, like this guy has a way of writing that's just really, really good, and it's just like to see somebody like that come into something and be able to kind of still leave your mark, but then inspire people to give their own life to their own stories, but kind of giving them the tools that you had possessed to make great stories. That would be really cool. So hopefully that's a avenue that he takes, but if not, it's been a great career, and you've earned your rest. So
kind of like there's a theme kind of going on here with George Perez retiring, Alan Moore retiring, people passing away. If there's people out there that you would like to try to meet or get signatures for or whatever it is, don't especially some of these older cats, Steranko, Neil Adams, there's quite a few others out there. Alan Bellman, he's getting up there too. These guys are either going to retire or I hate to say it, but people do pass away. So don't sit there and say, oh, next year. Get out there and get those, because then you're going to be in a situation like I am where I never got to meet Stanley, and I'm like, damn, and I could have. He went to MegaCon a couple of times over the years, and I could have done that. And I'm like, so I'd say go out there and meet these folks.
Absolutely.
If you have been wanting to before they leave. So all right. Legendary has been on a tear lately. We know that there's a big war, kind of, I guess you could say, with streaming, especially. You have Disney Plus, you have HBO Max, you have Netflix, and Hulu, which is part of Disney, of course. But there's all this, and this big rush to buy up content. All these studios are realizing how Larry Hama's another one. He's getting up there. Comics are such a wealth of story and mythology and characters. These are huge IP farms, so they've been buying them all up. We've been covering that as they come up. Who buys what. Legendary has been making big moves lately. We talked about it when it happened back in December. Legendary signed a deal with Brian K. Vaughan.
Oh wow!
Overall deal, and we found out this week that first project is going to be Paper Girls.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So Paper Girls is going to be going to series. I was trying to remember if it's a movie or a series. It's going to a series. They've officially ordered it, and it's being written by the same person who wrote Toy Story 4. So, pretty cool, right? That's the first one, but expect this is a multi-year deal. So I don't know if you are a speculator or whatever, and I'm not just talking to you, but anybody listening or watching, check out those other Brian K. Vaughan, issues, because Paper Girls is not going to be the last one of his to hit it. He's doing Gundam too, I think. But there's a second part to this. The second part. And the second part is actually something that was announced today. And this is the same studio, Legendary TV. So they signed an overall deal with Ed Brubaker.
Oh, he's got a ton of stuff too. Yeah,
exactly. Velvet, Criminal, whole bunch of stuff of his own.
Killed.
Yep. Kill or Be Killed, I think, would probably, if I was gonna pick, would be the first project that they should go with.
Yeah,
right.
Because that one, yeah, it's definitely like feasible, street level.
Like crime stuff.
I can see that. And it's something that's come out recently, so it's fresh in people's minds. There's trade paperbacks, so it's like easily obtainable. So yeah,
right,
that makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, so Legendary, they have Brian K. Vaughan, and now they have Ed Brubaker. So that's some so you're gonna get like the crazy like sci-fi type of stuff, and then you're gonna get like the street level like noir crime stuff with Brubaker. So that's pretty interesting combination there. Did he do Incognito? Do you remember that?
That I don't.
Yeah,
but
I think he did. Yeah, he's also he's a producer for Westworld.
Yep.
So he does have kind of that TV side experience as well, which will bode well for this this partnership. That's also a multi-year deal. So again, like you hear at Brubaker, we mentioned probably Kill or Be Killed will be first, but look for all those other things that he wrote, and this would be creator-owned stuff.
Yeah.
Right. It's not going to be like Marvel or whatever. Ed Brubaker and Brian K. Vaughan, for that matter, their creator-owned stuff is what you want to look for. But awesome. I think that's really cool, really great gets, and that's going to be, assuming they're done well, of course, some really amazing series, especially Paper Girls. I'm pretty stoked to learn it as this comes out. And this is going to be, it's Legendary making it, but it's going to be on Amazon. So I'm assuming all this other stuff will go through Amazon Prime as well.
Yeah, that would be great.
And Amazon's the same one too. Oh God, they got a lot of stuff in the works that they've pulled. They're doing the is it the Lord of the Rings series?
Yep. Yeah, some of the Lord of the Rings stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of getting into that Tolkien world and everything.
Yeah.
So
they're going to be like there's going to be Disney Plus, HBO Max, Netflix, and Amazon Prime. Those are going to be your top ones that are all kind of vying for the market share up at the top.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's just like, I won't say, I won't be too like pompous and be like, oh well, see, cable's in trouble. I don't think that necessarily fall out in trouble per se, but there's a lot of alternatives out there, and as those keep growing, and that's assuming all four can keep growing and can kind of exist in the same market together. But even still, it's just like it's a lot of content. That's a lot of different stuff, and then I mean, the best thing for all of them is that they're all going to be presenting original content as well. So hopefully they all grow, and hopefully, I mean, if you're a comic fan, I mean, this is a great time to just kind of be, into it, just because, you have so many different, just because they're so popular in the movies and the box office and television. It's just like people, are scrambling to get as much as they can out there. So
exactly.
Good chance that, that with everything going the way it is, I mean, there's going to be, potentially like, one of your favorite stories or characters or something maybe end up getting made at some point. So really exciting, for the fans' perspective, because just like there's so much different stuff. And then just in general, if you're looking for something different, like if you're burned out on Marvel stuff, and then you can go on Amazon Prime and see these Brubaker stories and be like, wow, this is really cool. Or like, or go to Paper Girls and be like, wow, this is different. It's kind of like, just like with like, Deadly Class and Umbrella Academy, where it's just like, people that are, have been into watching the movies, just because of, the hero movies and stuff like that. It's just like, that that was a completely different shakeup for them. And just like, wow, this
Exactly.
is
People
different.
complain about the quote unquote like the Marvel formula and like everything's like a family friendly action comedy, but no, it's not. There's a lot of excuse me. There's a lot of like I guess subgenres that they can fall under, right? With
Oh
the
yeah,
crime stuff, and there's going to be the horror stuff, right? Like I would put Brightburn there. New Mutants is coming out, a
yeah,
bunch of other stuff, and then you have like the Boys that's coming out. That looks pretty sick, right?
yep, yep,
Um, there's a whole variety of things that fall within like the comic adaptation spectrum. So there's something out there for everyone. And now, like with this stuff, there's even like more expansion into some of these properties that honestly I never thought we would see. Like I remember Brian K. Vaughan talking about how he's kind of opposite of someone like Mark Miller, who almost writes his stories for being adapted, right?
yep,
Like when you read his stuff, it's almost like you can tell he's thinking about selling this to a studio. But
yeah,
Brian K. Vaughan, his stuff is like so crazy and out there. Like Paper Girls just goes like off the rails so fast into like the time travel and like it's just crazy. And to think that something like that could be adapted now
yeah,
is just it. I don't know. In the past, I would have thought that impossible. So it's pretty cool.
yep,
Yeah.
definitely.
So all right, awesome. So we found out today that we're talking about the streaming stuff. So Marvel's consolidating, I guess you could say. They are actually going to be canceling Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 6 is happening right now on ABC. There's a couple more episodes for it, and then season 7 will be out next summer, and then that will actually be the last season for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't know if you've been watching it at all.
I watched them.
Yeah, I watched the season with Ghost Rider, and then it went into like the LMDs, the life model decoys,
Yep.
Which I think was season 5, and that was kind of the last time I saw it. But I don't know. It ties into the MCU, like the overall story, you know.
Yeah,
But again, they're consolidating. They're pulling everything to their streaming services, you know. Disney Plus, Hulu. What am I missing? There's another one. Anyways, you know what I mean. They're all there.
yeah. No, and I mean it makes sense just to kind of take that off of the ABC and kind of go. I mean even 7 seasons. I mean that's a pretty long run. I think that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The good thing with that is that you can kind of take it off and then reorganize it and then bring it back later on. Because that seems to be like that. I mean, just because S.H.I.E.L.D. is such a big group and just has their hands into everything, it's something where it's just like you can reestablish it and then like reestablish it in the movies or whatever, and then bring the show back, and that gives everything a rest, and you can kind of take it in a different direction. So
I wonder if Shield is going to be no more, and it will turn into Hammer.
maybe
We already have Sword.
Yep.
Justin Hammer. So instead of Osborn, it'll be Justin Hammer.
Yeah, I mean,
and maybe like dissolving Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because it is part of that overall story is an indication that S.H.I.E.L.D. is going away for the movies as well. Perhaps, I don't know. Just spitballing there, but
I mean, as I said, I mean, I think 7 seasons, which is longer than I would have gave it, because I think that I think around like season 3 or so, it kind of started to tank a little bit, and people weren't really liking the show all that much. So I figured it would have been gone around season 4 or so. But they've made it all the way to 6, and they're gonna close it on a 70. I mean. There's nothing wrong with
7's pretty good. I mean, that's like a lot of the sci-fi shows get hit 7. I think Supernatural is the exception, but most of the shows do 7, 8 seasons.
Yeah. Well, let's put it this way: even beyond that, I mean, you got to look. Immensely popular show, The Cosby Show, only ran 6 seasons, and it was, 6 seasons at number 1, but still, still it only went 6. I mean, that seems to be like the magic time to kind of get out. It's like in between 6 and 7 is usually when when you see shows kind of go away, just because, especially like sitcoms and things like that.
Yeah.
So I figure something like that, 7 seasons, that's definitely worth, definitely worth applause for lasting that long. And then also, maybe it's time to bow out, and that's fine. Better to bow out, before things get ugly and people are like, yeah, I don't like the show anymore. I don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. TiVo over at Lords of the Long Box, when I tweeted this out, he said, cool, that will make room for the Dakota North series.
That's true.
Right.
And maybe that could be why they're doing it too. It's just like they're gonna do newer stuff and just kind of try to get other stuff out there. So it's like, rather than have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that's kind of had a long run, give Dakota North a fresh run. Just like, hey, listen, stuff Dakota North, check it out.
Yeah. So that's a good place to introduce a character like that, who's probably best suited for a serialized show and good intro to people, So yeah, might be. What was I gonna say? Oh, one of the seasons there was a character named Lorelai, and she is Amora the Enchantress's sister.
Yes.
So this ties into the next thing. Taika Waititi is coming back to not only write but direct Thor 4. Thor.
Yeah, I saw that, and it's coming at the expense of Akira.
Yeah, exactly. This movie is made.
It's got this traction. Also, it's like, we're gonna. All right, wait a minute. It's not way, but it's.
It was looking so promising there for a minute.
Well, you know what though? I think that they're still gonna make it. I think that it's just gonna take a little longer to do. And really, honestly, it's just like, when you think about it, it's just like, you're not gonna turn down Disney money, and on top of that, not something that you've already established and can really take into another direction. So yeah, I guess, like, as much as I really want to see a live action Akira, this I expected. I figured that he did such a good job with Ragnarok that they were gonna want him to come back, just because it was a really well done movie, and he seemed to have like just a great feel for making a Thor movie, and just kind of inject humor where it needs to be, and then also have great action and stuff like that. So that's really cool.
We got that franchise back on track for sure after the Dark World, which I would actually put at the bottom. Like, if I was going to rank all the MCU movies, the last movie would be Thor: The Dark World.
I don't know. See, for me, I think I think I would probably put Iron Man 2. Just because Iron Man 2 was good.
That was the Whiplash one, right?
Yeah. I can say this. I don't think I've had two. I haven't seen a movie that I've really been like, oh man, this is not good, from Marvel at all. So it's like, I enjoyed all of them, and I understand why Iron Man 2 may get a bump above the Dark World, just because you introduced Black Widow in there, and then you just got a step closer to getting the Avengers together and everything. But I thought that story wise and just villain wise, it was just really. It lacked a lot of muscle where it needed to have some extra, but I think that the Dark World, they just really, I think what they tried to do was a little bit too much with not enough explanation, and the fact that the eighth was going to be an actual Infinity Stone, and I think that they was so early on into that they didn't really know how to full out introduce it in a good way, and how to make it seem like it was something that was important. Just because it was one of those things where like you could have potentially just been like, okay, like, I don't know if this is the reality stone per se, like just by watching this movie, like it had to be explained that this is what this is what he's using it for, and just kind of it just kind of lacked a little bit. I liked the scenes with Thor and Loki; those were good. The battle scenes where where Loki tricked Malekith into thinking that he cut off Thor's arm and everything. That was really cool. But it definitely needed, the ship definitely needed to be righted. It wasn't going in a bad direction, but it was just like the first Thor movie to this movie was like to the Dark World wasn't the greatest of transitions, but then they redeemed themselves with Ragnarok. So I'm excited for Thor 4. I think it's gonna be good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and the reason I mentioned Lorelai, the Enchantress, Amora the Enchantress. I have to say Amora the Enchantress, so
Yeah.
people don't think of Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
But she's rumored to be one of the characters who will appear in it. So
That makes sense.
I actually did a video. I think I posted it yesterday. So if you want to hear some thoughts on who the villains might be and who might come back, check that out afterwards. I think I got some good suggestions in there. So, and one of them actually ties to the Loki show that will be on Disney Plus. So there you go. So yeah, that's exciting. But hopefully, well, not hopefully, we'll definitely on Saturday when Marvel does their Hall H at SDCC, we'll get news. I think to 2022, so 2020, 2021, and 2022.
Yep.
We'll see the movies. I know next year is going to be Black Widow and the Eternals.
Yep.
And Shang-Chi, of course. Doctor Strange 2.
Yep.
Black Panther 2. Who actually they're saying that Kraven might be in Black Panther 2 as one of the kind of tribes that got uprooted. So he was like a hunter, like I don't know, in the Serengeti or something, but it's an interesting thought.
So he would be not amongst the Wakandan tribes. Or is he just
in an African tribe, but not necessarily the country of Wakanda?
Yeah, because I mean, the thing that I would want to see with that
Storm. Yeah.
So what I would want to see, with Kraven is that I think for Tom Holland they would have to he'd have to be like a few movies down the road just because just Kraven's story and how he is, he's very, very dark, and I don't think that Tom Holland pull out that. I don't think he's
gonna kill that kid and wear his costume.
but I mean, to see him fight Black Panther would be cool. But I still think that he has to fight. He has to actually become a Spider-Man villain. Like he's got to be involved with him in order to really have that character feel correct. So I mean, the cool thing with Kraven is just that he'd be kind of a good like I guess you call it like a mid-movie villain or somebody who not as the main villain, but somebody who fights the Panther and escapes or just kind of falls into like kind of that falling death, but didn't die, just kind of fell into like a river or something like that, and went on to fight another day or something like that. That would kind of work for him.
Yeah, I could also see now that everybody knows who Peter Parker is, right? Because of the video.
Yeah,
somebody
I saw that this Saturday. That's one thing I can say. I saw it. I saw that on Sunday night, and I was just like, okay, good, because it was getting to the point where it's like I haven't seen it, and people keep wanting to tell me stuff at work and everything. I'm like, don't say anything, don't say it. So I was just like,
exactly,
get this out of the way first. So
okay, good. So I could see, now that people know who he is, he's obviously put people behind bars. I could see somebody very easily being pissed, knowing who he is and putting a hit out on his family, and Kraven going, aha, there we go.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm trying to think about the hitmen that might be in there like that, just because I kind of
it could literally be anybody though. Like you could just have a random hitman, like a sniper up on a roof in New York.
I think might end up being
Scorpion even.
Yes, that's what I was going to go. I think that Matt Goggin, because I think it was in the Homecoming, one of the end trailers, like when he went up to vote to Michael Keaton, he was just like, who he was, didn't you? You know exactly who he is. Like, and then I think he had said something. It was either a deleted scene or something like that, where Matt Goggin walked up to him and was just like, "Why are you protecting Spider-Man? Like, you know who he is, don't you?"
Yeah.
I kind of trying to out him in prison to make him to make his life harder, but just because Goggin wants revenge on him. So just because I think Goggin wants revenge on him because he embarrassed him at that weapons buy, because he was making fun of him and everything. So
exactly, yeah. So all right, cool. Do you watch Are you a fan of the Bond series, James Bond?
So I've not been I've seen a bunch of them because my dad was like a big fan of them.
Yeah.
But like, so I've seen up to like I think like the Timothy Dalton ones.
Okay.
But
Wow. Okay.
you know, I think the
You're
Daniel
missing
Craig
a
one's
few.
pretty cool. So I would watch those. But yeah, I mean, I've seen that. I mean, you can't deny that Bond's a big time character and everything. But
Yeah.
I know, I like the last time we talked about it, it was they were thinking of putting Idris Elba in the role, which I was like, yeah, that'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I,
Yeah.
I haven't.
Instead he took on the Black Superman role for Hobbs and Shaw.
Yep.
So he's in that. So they're working on Bond 25 right now.
Yep.
And Christoph Waltz, who is such a good villain, he's such an amazing actor. Like I could actually see him playing a Norman Osborn.
Yep.
He's got that craziness to him. Awesome actor. He was Blofeld in one of the Daniel Craig ones.
Yep.
Anyways, he's supposed to come back. The other news, and you undoubtedly heard this all over the internet, people up in arms or defending it one way or another, is that Lashanna Lynch is going to be a new 007. If you're saying who, Lashanna Lynch was actually Maria Rambeau in Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Photon. But the thing is here, she's not a Bond per se. She's just another agent with the code number 007. There's still going to be James Bond. Daniel Craig is still in it. He's probably retired, so she took on the 007 numbering, and who knows what happens, but he's still in it. He's still James Bond. She is just another in a long line of agents who have been Agent 007. There's probably very specific numbering, and each one gets backfilled as they retire or die off. So yeah.
I mean, that makes sense if it's something like kind of like Green Lantern Corps, like it's just like the rings in his shoes a successor. It doesn't matter that
exactly
from this sector. It's just like there's always going to be you're going to be the Green Lantern sector, blah 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 blah. This number here, so I mean, yeah, they can explain it that way, and I think that the problem with that is why people get so upset. I mean, obviously because it's a woman, that's number one, and everyone's like, a woman can't be Bond. Well, who's to say can't be Bond? You don't know that, but I think
there is the fact that you'd have to change the first name.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's Jane Bond. Now I know people will freak out if that's
Jane Bonda.
But I think that what happens is that because it was never explained in that way, that somebody picks up the mantle every single time. Why do you think that? I mean, and that kind of adds a little bit more mystery to the James Bond character, because it's just like this guy assumes the identity of James Bond after somebody else. You know what I mean? And it's just like the real names you'll never know. Like you'll never. But like I think that making it something like of a legacy character like that, where it's just like the name and the number will travel and live on forever. Meanwhile, but the people that are in that role, will end up changing. It's something that I think no one ever full out questioned until like you bring something up like this and like, well, and that's so easily explained by them saying like, no, like that's the way it's always been. Why do you think that you went from Roger Moore to eventually Timothy Dalton and Pierce Brosnan and all that? Like it's not just a retelling of the same man's life. It's a different person every single time. Just that's their call sign. It's just
even like there's the number, but even like the name James Bond, you could say is a code name. That's why he's so like he goes out on a mission undercover, and he's just so readily able to like, hey, I'm James Bond. And not only that, but let me tell you my last name twice.
And that's the thing, and it's funny too, because I think you'll find a lot of people will get upset with something like that, because it's like maybe you feel like you've been maybe you feel like you've been duped or thought of something that was like I never knew this, or like I always thought it was this one way, and it's just like, well, you never put two and two together. It was never explained to you. I understand it. But it's just one of those situations where, I mean, it's so easily explained. And then if you look at it like in that way, it's always been right in front of you. And it's just like, how do you, how did you not see that? Like, I mean, someone who's supposed to be the greatest spy ever throwing his name around like it's going out of style. Of course you would. I mean, like that makes so much more sense that like, the true identity of this guy isn't anything. It's just a moniker that's just given just for someone to say it,
Right. But that being said, like it is James Bond. If they go with a woman, it has to be somebody else, like a spin-off or something where they use a different name, because you can't it wouldn't feel the same with a different name. I don't know how to like articulate what I'm trying to say, but I feel like anybody can be the 007, but for James Bond, you kind of need a guy to do it just because of the name specifically. And like it's James Bond is James Bond. It's like no getting around that. But you can have plenty of other agents. Like have like a whole like army of female agents. The Bond girls are really famous. But James Bond, that person, even if it changes as a code name, is still a male name. So I think that still needs to be a male actor. I mean, but like we said, the 007, that can be, whomever.
And I mean that makes plenty of sense. Just I mean that's such a simple fix. I mean, and that's the thing I think too. Like I understand if people want to be like, you know what, there's never been a female Bond. We want to go with this as a character. We want to do something different, change it up. That's fine. But like, even though, and I know some people want to stick to their guns and be like, well, I'm not, it's gonna be James or something Bond or whatever. It's like, there's no need to really piss people off. Just for the fact that, I mean, some people, have the insecurities. That's fine. It's just like, you got to deal with that. I mean, that's a personal issue. But, I mean, if you can kind of, bridge that gap and make people, have your female, 007, but just don't call her James Bond. You can appease some people. And, I mean, the people that aren't going to see it because it's a woman in the lead weren't going to see it no matter what the name was. But there's no need to alienate the people that would still see it had it not been the character named Bond. You know what I mean? So I think that in that way, trying to kind of go that route, I think you kind of have to like look at it and kind of somewhat compromise while still getting what you want out there, which is a woman 007, but just make that compromise. Call her, Jane Stevens or something like that, or Wendy Smith. There you go. Right. No one's gonna get mad at that.
Exactly. And they really have to understand who their audience is, who their target audience is when they make these changes, and not just say, F you all, we'll do what we want, but listen, because we're the ones who give them the money for this stuff. So you want to listen to your customers and what they like and don't like, and, where they're going to be spending their hard-earned cash. So, things like we're saying, they need to hear that,
Yeah.
Not that they would listen to our show, but
I couldn't agree more just because of the fact that you said that, know your audience. I mean, you got to figure. Someone said that there's a new Bond film coming out. All right, so you have those people that have been dug in for since the 60s that love that.
I read all the novels, all the original Ian Fleming novels.
Exactly. So I mean, you have all of that going with that, and it's just like So now, I mean, as soon as you hear that it's not going to be that is going to be played by a female. I mean, obviously there's a reaction to that, and then. But to intentionally like make people angry by saying, well, screw the audience has made this money, all this, that kind of has kept this franchise afloat to the point that we can make this, radical decision. It's just like you don't want to alienate it all and then just burn your franchise down because you stuck.
And then just make it look like a cheap cash grab, like some of this bullshit crap they're trying to pump out now. I don't know if you saw the Charlie's Angels. There's been a bunch of these like remakes and reboots of these franchises that they just completely ignored what was good about the original, and just I don't know. I'm getting off on a tangent, but I did want to talk about, because we got to go here in a moment. Couple things in terms of slabbing. I know, Jackie, this isn't your favorite subject. I know you're listening in the chat, but two things. So for CGC, they have some new Pedigree labels and a whole slew of new designated Pedigree collections. So that's really cool. Especially the Pedigree stuff. We've talked about that. We actually talked about that when Steve was on CBCS. Steve, remember that? We're talking about Pedigree collections and how they do that. Yep. So that's really cool. There's an article up on their website. And that kind of comes on the heels of last week we were talking about their announcement of their partnership with with eBay and how they do the reviews of the images, and they'll give you a grade range.
Yeah, that was crazy talk, man. I still
Right.
not a fan of that.
Yeah. And then they said eBay then a couple of days later put out something and said, we're no longer going to allow people to have you put like, not like, if you want to put up a CBCS book, you cannot in your title of your listing put not CGC, because that's like keywords, kind of casting a wider net in terms of searchability. They'll remove your listing and make you change it if you do that now. So I think that kind of was part of that deal with them. So there's that's CGC. CBCS put out an announcement. I want to say it was today. It may have been yesterday, but now they're going to they have what's called an on-site signature service. So if you're at a con and they're there, they'll actually do, you can do it verified and encapsulated there, but you can get it without a grade. So all they're doing is verifying the signature and then encapsulating it. So you have that protection, but you don't have to worry about, having them send it off and wait and, have somebody look at it and apply a grade to it. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And, you can either any of these things like it or dislike it, but I always say it's good that they're innovating and trying new things and pushing this sort of industry forward. You know what I mean? So it may work or it may not. You may like it, you may not. But the point is they're trying new stuff. It's not stagnant and stale. And I think that's really healthy for any industry to do that. So
yeah,
what do you think?
So the question I have, because this is the first I'm hearing about that. So would that be like if you have a book that, let's say, you got signed at a separate con or signed a couple years back, you can just bring it to them and say, hey, listen, like, got this book signed. Can you verify this to me, for me? And
yep, you'll get a red label.
But no actual grade on it, which is, that's
right.
And then I guess that's not bad if you had it before and you just want to say, hey, listen, at least it's verified, like right here and there. I don't have a grade on it specifically, but as this. That, because I know myself, like I usually don't get books created at cons just because it's just a real big expense on top of everything else. So it's just kind of like, but I will get things signed, and then so that would be kind of cool if that's something that I got signed, back whenever. Do they have any pricing for that yet, or is that just kind of a in the works type scenario?
I was trying to look it up. It does come with, there's a new Beckett logo that comes on them now too.
Oh boy,
an actual slab, yeah, because they were bought by Beckett.
Yep,
and, I remember that. Of course, from
they're finally incorporating Beckett into it now.
Yeah, so they have the Beckett the logo on there.
That's cool.
Yeah, so they did a post, and I guess I'll just share this because there isn't a whole lot that I can find on, and we're talking about CBCS on this, but we do know. Okay, I think this is the screen I need. Yeah. So that's pretty much okay. So they're at San Diego offering new signature service. So you can get them and that's what it looks like. And then you can see right here.
Yep.
Right there, the Beckett logo. So that's how it's going to look without the gray. So the Beckett logo is basically in the spot where the gray would go. And then it says verified SIG. It's a red label, of course, as you can see there. So that's an interesting thing, right?
Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I think that's kind of that's a good alternative, especially if it's something where you have a book that if you don't want to go ahead and get graded, but you just want to have it verified that it was signed. That's a very good alternative to having it graded. In terms of selling a slabbed, ungraded book, I don't know how, if you're trying to sell it, how that would fly, but I think that kind of going that route does kind of help protect a book that you got signed rather than keeping it in a bag and board. That's kind of cool, just to be able to have it encapsulated. So yeah.
So this is CGC. This is the new Pedigree label. It's black. You can see it's black. And then I think there's another color you can get. So this is Pedigree. it will say instead of CGC Universal, it will say, oops, it'll say CGC Universal Pedigree. Um, New labels starting from submissions from July 12th. The first like on site will be obviously San Diego the 17th.
Yep.
I thought there was two colors, but this obviously the black label, which is a cool name, right? And then these are the new Pedigree collections. There's 5 of them, so now there's 59 total Pedigree collections, and you know what those are, right?
I know they are. I just like I was curious what it takes to actually be considered a pedigree as far as like,
it has to be like older stuff, really high grade, and original owner is basically like the simplest way to put it. You can't like go out and just buy some high grade stuff off of eBay and qualify for that. It has to be like you bought it in 1967 and you've kept it as a near mint book all this time. So
gotcha.
So there's New Hampshire. So this guy born in 1929.
Oh my god.
Bought 1,400 books from the 40s and 50s. And Jim Payette.
Yep.
And he's basically kept them all there.
That's
high grade. And another guy in Tennessee, 5,000 books from the 30s to the early 50s. Eldon, let's see here. His collection came up in the 80s. His stuff is from the 40s. Harold here, Harold Curtis, 519 books exactly. Very specific number. He's got 41 to 46 is mostly the years where his are. And then Murphy Anderson. So Murphy Anderson is actually a very famous person. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Hey, Brian, I wonder if he's got any Spectre stuff. Well, that was a big arrow. So his stuff, I don't know what 50s, 50s to the 80s. So probably all his like DC stuff that he did. And now that's not working. And then Annie did all the Mad TV, Mad collection.
Yep.
Right. Tire Mad and Panic runs and gains file copies. So that's pretty cool. That's gonna be really old stuff like EC, Mad. So there you go. That's the new collections. I think that's pretty cool. So I wanted to share that with you. Jack, you can come back from your coffee break now.
I like the Iconic Points question where he said, is CGC helping or hurting the industry 20 years from now if most of the books are encapsulated? Will future readers, get the feel of the paper of Hulk 181 or Giant Size X-Men? And Brian's point, Brian's actual comment is like in 20 years, 95% of those 2 books will be graded. So no. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it necessarily hurts specifically, but it definitely takes things differently. Like, I mean, that is true that there's going to be, if most of those books are actually, encapsulated, the original actual book itself. I mean, most people are going to be able to have to read those through a reprint, because if they're all, if most of them are all graded, the actual raw books aren't going to exist. So that's I guess depending on how you look at it, kind of a tough question to answer, but it is something to think about. Just as books get graded,
Yeah, I think 20 years from now, there's going to be a much, I think, heavier influence on digital.
Yeah.
So I think that people just get to read the book, I guess, digitally, but in terms of smelling the paper or whatever, that old Silver Age stuff, Golden Age. I don't know. I think that's pretty accurate. That most, especially like Hulk 181 or the Giant Size.
Yeah, no, those are all
going to be,
Yeah, those are going to be slabbed. Just because people are gonna. I mean, that's a book that people just will go ahead and protect. Just for the fact that it is that that iconic of a book, and it's just something that you do in that situation. Where it's like, I have one, and I just want to be able to keep this nice forever. So throw it in the flap. And
exactly. With the prices those are going for now, it makes sense to want to protect your investment. And if you're spending that much money, yes, it is an investment,
Yep.
even if you don't consider it that. So, sorry. All right, cool. Well, that was all the subjects, all the topics we have for the show. What do you got coming up over the weekend? Anything that you're dropping any new hauls or?
Yeah. So I'll be having my haul from the books I picked up on Wednesday, and then a back issue haul that I'll be putting up. And that pretty much is what I have going on for now. I'm gonna try my best not to melt on Saturday because it's gonna be over 100 degrees up in my area, so not a
Wow.
not a fun. Yeah, there was it's all over the news. It's like crazy heat wave is gonna hit Boston and it's gonna be 105 or 6. It's just like that's almost Arizona. I mean that's basically Arizona temperatures. I know that's
Yeah.
there, so it's just like, ugh. So today we will be looking for to go to my wife's aunt's house to go and cool off in that pool that day, just because it's gonna be. But I'm gonna go ahead and put those videos up so people can see those. So
Cool.
keep an eye out for those coming. Up this weekend. Probably put up the haul most likely tomorrow, and then either Saturday or Sunday throw up the back issue. So definitely fun stuff, and just I got a chance to pick up some pretty fun stuff as well. And then just kind of prepping for just the Comic Cons that are coming up, and I mean it's actually really funny. It's 3 weeks I think is when Terrificon comes, so I'm gonna be heading down there just for the Friday, and then of course Boston Comic Con, which is this 16th, 17th, and 18th. So I will be there all 3 days. Hopefully, just having some fun, getting some books, and just having a great experience. Just kind of intermingling and seeing all the different stuff that's going on. So I'm looking very forward to that. And hopefully, if anybody is heading up there, from the community, let me know. We can meet up and just kind of go to the con together and just kind of have a good time. So definitely looking forward to that. So that's what I have planned for the next, I guess, for this weekend and then beyond. That's what's going on there. So
Nice. Sounds like you got a busy couple weeks coming up.
yeah,
So that's good.
Like I didn't actually think about it until, like I said, here out San Diego Comic Con, and I'm like, look at the date. I was like, oh, well, I'm a month away from Boston. Shit, which means I'm Terrificon. Wow.
Exactly. Yeah. That's how I feel about Tampa Bay. I'm like, oh, it's gonna come up so fast.
It does. I mean, honestly, it's one of those things where, man, it's just you think about it. So you start thinking about it like the year ahead, and it's like, oh yeah, not a big deal. And then around the time that they start announcing it up here, it's like, like January, like, yeah, so get ready for this. It's on sale in about a month and a half. Like, get ready for it. And then it's like,
and you're like, but I'm not ready for this at all.
Yeah, so you buy a ticket, and you're like, all right, I'm all set to get this purchased. I'm not, and it's in the back of your head, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, it's around the corner.
Yeah,
wow,
exactly.
And then now it's just like, here it is, and it's just like, I am not nearly as organized as I should be. So
exactly. Yeah. So for me, obviously San Diego's this weekend. A lot of news is gonna drop. Top Gun trailer dropped today, which is pretty sweet. I don't know if you saw that. It Chapter 2, a bunch of stuff. So I'm expecting a huge news type of day on Saturday. So on my channel, expect some like crazy theories that probably won't come true, but are hella fun to make type videos that I've been doing. So I'm sure once we get some news about stuff coming out, I'll have some more kind of content like that. I entered Gem and Collectibles.
Yep.
Had Jay and Silent Bob, the reboot trailer. Okay, that was pretty sick too.
I saw that this afternoon, and I was like, I can't click this because it's not appropriate. I will be. I will be.
Got everybody to come back. Like that's pretty cool. So it's from the Jay and Silent Bob. They're in that movie. They're rebooting the movie, so that they also have to stop the reboot. Like how they did in the first one, but like everybody came back. So I don't know. It looks pretty sick. So I'm excited for that. But I for Gem and Collectibles on the Facebook page, they did a drawing because they hit a really big milestone number. I think it was like 20,000. did a drawing and actually won a Red Sonja 1/6 scale statue.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm like I said at the beginning, I don't have the video on. I was hoping to feel okay enough, like, and be able to do it there, but I'm gonna take it out and post it up on my Instagram, so
Nice.
you'll be able to check out the Red Sonja statue on Instagram. It's JLS Comics. So yeah, really cool. And grateful to Gem and Manimal for having that drawing, and it's random, but still thank you for calling out my number, or my name. And then I don't know, just other stuff coming up. So just look for I've been really trying to be consistent with having a video like every couple days. So just more of that. If you like that type of content, there'll be more of it on the way. So shout out to everybody in the chat. Take the Time Collectibles, Iconic, Comics Misexplained. I see Strictly Comics in there. He's been busy. Yep. Doing things, very busy. Mastodon, Jack Yo, ton of people. I saw Larry is in there, Mr. Higgins, who's been really successful with his book Niobe, in terms of the newest campaign. So congratulations to him for those big numbers. I don't know if he's still listening or not. I saw Big E's in there, home of the NY Warriors as well, and a ton of people. So thank you for everything you do here. Leave us a comment if you're watching later. Definitely like to continue any of these conversations that Chris and I talked about in the comment section. So I'll be happy to do that. And then this should be up as well Friday, streaming and all your favorite streaming services. Google Play, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, all that good stuff. So you can be able to look for that if you just want to not look at us and just listen. So there you go. That's it for this pre-San Diego Comic-Con 2019 Comic Conversation. Ooh, that was long. Show. Have a good night, and we will see you next week.